Hey folks, how you doing? It's Jermaine here from Team Monkey and Bear Fit. I hope you're really well. It's Monday evening, so we're a little bit later than planned. So sorry about that. We had hoped to come out to you yesterday, but a few things came up. So I'm doing a video today, flying a little bit solo as Theo's in bed and Leanne's doing a few little bits and pieces. But I thought I just wanted to spend some time on some of the work we've been doing for Team Monkey and BearFit over the last few months. And for a lot of you who have been speaking with us, you'll know that we have been reading a lot. So we used to be really big readers, and ever since Theo came into the world, one of the big things that I wanted to do was to try to have the best possible knowledge so that I can be the best teacher for him. And part of that was about understanding the areas to the best of my ability that I felt were weaknesses for me, and just trying to make sure I understood a few things about them, as well as, you know, everyone's got aspirations for their children. I've got some for Theo, and just trying to figure out how I could help him reach some of his aspirations. So recently we've been reading a lot, and a few people have been asking, look, what are you reading? What is it that you're interested in trying to do for him, and what would you recommend new parents start with if they wanted to put together a reading list? So I thought I'd do a few posts that look at some of the best reading that I've done, some of the best things that I think any new parent should be reading, and try and cover a few reasons why. So one of the big things that we're interested in is what they call financial literacy. So there's a theory that for a lot of us who are in the world, we don't really understand a huge amount about money, about assets, liabilities. We don't understand how to kind of create wealth, which can ultimately give us a bit of freedom. And I found this really interesting because one of the things as a parent I want to try and do is to be as free as possible, to spend as much time with my son. But equally, I want to try to be able to teach him to manage himself in a way that he is going to have options and like a bit of a head start in life, right? Some of the opportunities that I didn't have, and I think a lot of us parents kind of want that for our children as well. So the first book that I'm going to recommend, and I need to get a little bit of quick focus on here. It's called Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. Unfortunately, the light from my iPad screen is not really working out too well here. But a lot of people would have come across this book before. Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. And it was a huge book that I know people spoke to me about a few years ago. And I hadn't really picked it up until the middle of this year. And Robert Kiyosaki he's got a father who was I think a college professor. And he refers to him as his poor dad. And then the rich dad is the father of one of Kiyosaki's friends, who was a business owner, all of whom lived in the town, in a particular town. And Kiyosaki talks about lessons or observations he makes of his biological dad, who he calls his poor dad, and then the lessons taught to him by the person he calls his rich dad. And essentially he's trying to help us to understand really what assets are, the things that put money into your pocket, what liabilities are, the things that take money out of your pocket. He talks about money as a way of becoming a bit freer. So if you think that a lot of us are thinking, well, we need to work to retirement in order to have some time back, you know, he'd be saying, well, you're going to be working 45 years till you retire, and then you may only have kind of another 20 or 30 years to live. So the equation doesn't really make sense. You know, ideally you want to work for a shorter period of time so you can have a longer period of time to live free. And that concept for me became really powerful because I had to think about, you know, what I wanted with Theo. And for me, I want to try to work and finish working as early as possible so that I can spend as much time with him as possible. And so the whole work for 45 to relax for, say, 25, that whole equation doesn't really work. So part of my challenge is to even try and flip it and say, okay, how do you work for 25 years? So then you can try to chill for the 45. So Rich Dad Poor Dad, I think, is maybe the best first book I would recommend anybody who's got any kind of financial aspiration for themselves and for their family would pick up and read, because I think the lessons, they're just so easy to understand. Not all of them are necessarily going to jump off the page at you, because Robert Kiyosaki is a guy who made loads of money through, I think, really like pretty cheap property in Hawaii or something. And for a lot of us, it's just not achievable. We may not have the money. The property is nowhere near as cheap, I think, these days. But the principles are really still quite powerful. You know, if you are sitting there and you've got something that you really care about, and so in my case is obviously my little boy and my wife, you've got a choice about how you want to manage your life. And for most of us, we work for about 45 years and then chill for kind of 25 years if we live a nice long life. And he talks about instead trying to flip it and really bring that concept home. If you can really understand finances, understand what is an asset, what is a liability, if you can get a bit more control over it, you can start to shift the equation. So you can maybe get to a point where maybe, for example, you can work for 25 years and chill for 45, which for me, much better dynamic. And just to give another example, he also talks about the power of what's called compounding. So the idea is that you save for a period of time, but you just do it really consistently. You earn your interest consistently, and over time, money grows. You know, they say money makes money, and he talks about money as a way of trying to, again, giving more options in life. So I'm just looking at my other phone here. So one of the things that I said that I wanted to do for Theo, for no particular reason, was by the time he reaches the age of 20, was to try and have £20,000 for him. There's no particular reason other than to say I would love to be able to give him like a house deposit or something, or give him just, it may be for uni fees, or it could be for anything. I just want to try and have a little bit of money kind of as a backup. And for most of us, the thought of trying to save 20k is very daunting. But things like Rich Dad, Poor Dad really helped me understand that it may not necessarily be quite as difficult, depending on how you think about your ability to save and the power of compounding. So if you're saving, say, every day, how the power of compounding can help you roll up a big number. So I'm just on the Money Advice Service here. It's a website we have in the UK. And I'm just quickly doing these maths, all right? So they give you a calculator that lets you say what you want to save, by when, and how much you already have saved, and what the interest rate is. So I'm just saying I want to save £20,000 by January 2039. So Jan 2039 is when Theo turned 20 years old. How much have you already got saved? I haven't got anything, unfortunately. And what is the interest rate you get on your savings? So I'm just going to assume it's about 1.5%. You can, in accounts over in the UK here, you can probably get about 1.5% in a few places. So I'm going to say the gross annual interest rate on the savings is 1.5%. And what this calculator says to me, and you won't be able to see it clearly here, so I'm going to read it. It tells me that I would need to save £76 per month to hit that 20k target. And when I looked at this, and I just thought to myself, but 76k per month is only a little bit over £2 a day. I mean, honestly, that's doable. I've tried to cut down on a few kind of random expenses, but a few pounds a day, that's really achievable. I mean, that might be a coffee and a newspaper, right? And you're saving about £2.50. And if you can literally do that every single day with consistency, and I know it's for a long period of time, you can give your kid that kind of head start. And so that's where we started. It's just a really modest goal, which I think hopefully 20k means something. Hopefully inflation doesn't just erode the value of that money, but hopefully that means something for Theo when he's older. If we can start with that £2.50 a day, £76 a month, with a modest interest rate, we can maybe make a really life-changing difference for our little boy. And that's kind of one of the big lessons and outlooks that I took from Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad Poor Dad. It's a brilliant book, really easy to kind of get into, really punchy lessons. And if you're really passionate about trying to make a big difference in your kid's life, and if you're willing to go and get some knowledge that you may not have had before, to try and help transform their life, there are some amazing books. And Team Monkey and Bearfit, we're going to be sharing a lot of what we've been reading. I mean, we've really been trying to get into the books, get into the pages, and try and make a difference for our little boy. So keep tuning in, guys. Please like and comment. All the comments are really incredible. It's not only encouraging for us, but we are learning so much from everybody who's sharing their thoughts and feedback. So please keep tuning in. Hit us up on the YouTube channel. We're still doing a lot on Instagram as well, and of course on Facebook. So please share, please comment. If there are any great books you think we need to be reading, please also share those. Because I really think that if we can, as a community, read more, share the lessons, and then help each other realise how achievable big goals are, we can collectively help all our children to have a much better future. A future not just based on money, but principles, morals, values. We can all have a really big impact on them. And I think books are giving us a huge head start. And sometimes it feels like with all the smartphones, we've kind of forgotten about books a little bit. So Team Monkey and Bearfit, we're just trying to reconnect, and we're going to be reading a lot. We're going to be sharing a lot about what we read. And we really look forward to hearing anything anyone's got to share with us about the great stuff that they're reading as well. All right, guys, have an amazing evening. Thanks for listening. Thanks for spending this time with us. And I hope to see you soon. Take care, guys. Bye.